Hey everyone, welcome back to the Push Pace Podcast, a podcast where we talk about anything and everything related to pushing ourselves towards better, happier versions of ourselves. And thank you as always for tuning in to listen. And I'm super excited to announce that as I'm saying this right now, this is the first official release date for my brand new on-demand online coaching platform. And this is sort of my version of online training where it's a collection of follow along workouts, kind of like those old school workout DVDs, things like P90X, and such. It's what it was inspired by. And I basically have created this platform to give you on-demand workouts that you can literally just work out with me, covering all sorts of different fitness topics. And today I want to spend today's podcast talking about that platform a little bit more, but more specifically, the process of pursuing like your dreams and what that means, and the process of sort of building up this platform and how I'm going about the future of it. And I think this talk, hopefully can just bring a little bit of insight into maybe something that you've thought about creating, something that you've always wanted to do, whether it doesn't have to be fitness related. Maybe you want to open up a clothing line, or you want to, sell makeup, or I don't know, whatever you want to do. Maybe you've thought about like, what is that process like how much work is really involved into it? Is it worth it? And I think we can talk about that today. And then, I think it'll just be a good talk to understand that process and that journey. So with this new platform, this on-demand training platform, I mentioned it was inspired by home workout programs like P90X. P90X, for those of you that don't know, is from Beachbody, and this came out in the mid to late 2000s, collection of 12 DVDs or so, and it was a 90-day sort of weight training fitness program, but it also had things like yoga and cardio workouts and things like that. And it was actually my first dive into like structured fitness in general. Like before that, I played some recreational basketball because I'm super tall, and gym class, but like nothing really, like no real like pursuing passion of sports. And so when I was a freshman in high school, my dad and we started doing these P90X workouts. And it's been the only thing in my life that I've been like, for sure, definitively have like said, like my dream would be to make workouts like that. Over the last few years or after that, I said, I want to make home workout DVDs. And then obviously, like as technology is advanced and such, we're not really doing, workout DVDs anymore with the aging of the internet and our accessibility to streaming platforms and stuff. Obviously, that's the more modern way to go. And then over the last year or so, I've over the course of building up a YouTube channel and, my Instagram and Facebook pages over the last few years, it's gotten me to the point now where like, this could be a possible thing. Like I was, just like maybe I can make a platform of workouts that are follow along that are kind of P90X style. And one of the biggest inspirations for that was the constant question that I got from Orange Theory members all the time, which was, what do I do on my off days? A lot of people get into if Orange Theory, for instance, is their sole form of exercise. Well, the ideal amount of Orange Theory per week is 3 to 4 sessions a week. Well, what do you do on those other days? Like, Austin, what do I do? Just sit around and do nothing? And I've talked about it before. Obviously, it's not good to just sit on our butts and do nothing for the other 3 days of the week if we're doing something like Orange Theory 4 days a week. We do want to keep our bodies moving in some way or another. And so that's where I was like, wait a second. I bet you I can make a collection of workouts that people can use that aren't, necessarily an hour long, more like 10, 20, 30-minute workouts that give me an opportunity to use my coaching, my exercise science background to explain in detail exercises a little bit more, but guide through workouts, like in person, like really working out with you. And with them being on demand, being able to scale those out to whoever wants to use them, I was like, this could be a really great thing for people to use for their off days or their in between their high intensity workout days. And that's where the idea of HIIT Plus came. The plus being like the original idea for it to be a supplemental thing to your current fitness routine. And then so the process of that really started about probably 8 months ago or so, as far as like starting to formulate the ideas, because I had the release of my rowing eBooks at the start of 2019. And the success of those over this last year has been amazing, way better than I thought that they would ever do. And then it just, kind of after those first few months after the release, had me start thinking about, okay, what do I want my next big release to be? What's my next big project? And, I kind of danced around the idea of like releasing more ebooks. I actually did. I released an 8-week rowing program a few months after the original program went out. And as much fun as it was to make those, a lot of this journey of building up Training Tall has been like honing in on what my strengths are and, the stuff that I really like to do. And, to be honest with you, like, I'm just not a great writer. I'm not a huge fan of writing. I think I can write pretty okay, but I definitely don't think it's my strong suit. And it's something that I'm not necessarily super passionate about, not compared to being on camera. I much, much prefer, like, it's just part of my DNA, part of my personality to just, give information on screen, like just saying things. And obviously I stutter and do a lot of like jump takes in my YouTube videos and stuff, but that's why doing these podcasts really helped me work through that. But I love the video format. And so trying to think of like how I could make that happen is like, okay, well, they have on-demand video hosting platforms. And so I was like, okay, let's start to figure this out. What would I want it to be? And I realized, I think the most, to really think big picture for this, I realized I wanted it to be a subscription-based platform that allowed me to essentially create this, this ever-growing arsenal of workouts. If I could provide new workouts every week, this could grow into something awesome that eventually wouldn't just be a plus, a supplement to someone's regular fitness routine, that they could altogether just use these workouts to build their own fitness routine based off of what they wanted to do. And so that was really exciting to think about. And then so starting the process of that, that is when the real work kicks in. And that is, I think, where a lot of us really, really get held up on, because as far as the time commitment goes, it's interesting, especially for those of you that, for those that are working full time, like, when are you supposed to build up something else? When are you supposed to create your own thing on the side? You use your free time for that. And not only that, it's free time that you're using where there's no like upfront like pay or reward for that. The building process isn't necessarily a super rewarding one as you're kind of making things together. Because in the back of our heads, at least in the back of my head, there's always that lingering thought of like, this might not work out at all. It could be cool. I think it's cool, but this might not work out at all. And then as you invest more and more time into creating whatever it is you're doing, for me, I wanted to have a big collection of workouts to start on the platform when I launched it, to give a good chunk of, have lots of value right up front, free trial, and, to get as many workouts as possible sort of at the initial launch of it, and then build out the workouts as we go along. And so just filming lots and lots of hours of these videos, these workout videos that I wasn't going to post to YouTube. I'm not making ad revenue on these or anything like that. And then, learning how to use like countdown timers and line timers in the videos. I do all my filming, editing, post-production. I do it all myself. And so that in and of itself was a lot of extra time spent to learn how to edit them to make it flow well and to make it appealing and things like that. So the time and the effort put in, like, you just put that in on top of whatever you were doing, all of a sudden it really, really cuts out, the free time that you would use to do whatever it is, play video games, watch TV, or whatever it might be. And that is one of the, that gave me, at least now it gives me an opportunity to be very kind of grateful, very grateful and thankful that, I am just me. Like I don't have a family to support, and I can just kind of live how I want to live. And that definitely makes it a lot easier to make this sort of side thing happen. And for those of you that have families that work really, really long hours, that push through of the time and effort needed, the ability of you to push through that is even harder to do than it is in my situation. And I had already thought it was pretty time consuming. But it's not impossible. It's not impossible. There's plenty of scenarios out there of people with their full-time jobs creating something and just building it up over time. And to have the patience to know that it is going to take some time to build up too. These videos, like, editing together a 30-minute workout video, a couple hours to do that. And then that's just one workout. And then you just got to do that a bunch of times, and then film a bunch of times, and then write the workout structure, and then design websites. And it's just so much involved, so much. But if you, instead of thinking of it all at once, just kind of taking it piece by piece, one day at a time. And if you are building out something like that, also remember that not every day you're going to be able to do as much. Like, we all know times get really, really busy. Sometimes really hectic stuff happens at work, got a lot of events going on or big projects or whatever it might be. And then that takes away from, maybe some extra time that you had to work on it. And then when we think all of a sudden like, oh man, I don't have any time this week to work on it, well then just forget it. Just forget it all. Or that's not really the mindset we want to have. We should know that life has its fluctuations of busy and not so busy, and utilizing what time we can, not beating ourselves up if we don't have the time we necessarily would want to or can invest into building out what that is. Because the uncertainty of it all is what I think really is so deterring and makes the whole process so much more like, is it worth it? Is it worth it? And I think the biggest thing is to think big picture. And that's one of the things that's helped me push through HIIT Plus and the creation of it, is because I want this to really be a foundational form of, online training instead of just PDFs and workout programs and things like that. Like, this could be just a massive collection of just like any sort of workout you'd want to do. And so instead of freaking out about like, is it going to be successful right away? I know it's not going to take off right away, because nothing ever does. And instead just thinking like being able to scale that back to a few years. Like, if I'm putting out these 5 workouts a month for a couple years, that's 120 workouts in 2 years. Like, and by then, with more attention and more, you do your own personal marketing and things like that, like, it could be something totally freaking awesome. And so keeping those things in mind has been part of the perseverance of building it out, and just believing in what you're doing. And out of all the questioning I've had, it's always come back to like, do you believe in what you're making? Like, do you think this is cool? And it's like, I think this is freaking awesome. And I think if you can really get behind whatever your idea, whatever your dream is, if you can sincerely to yourself be like, this is good. This is a good idea. Like, this is bringing value to people. If you can really stick to your guns and believe that in yourself, then you can do anything. And then from there, it's just about putting in the time, the little tiny bits of time. Stop getting so overwhelmed with having it all done at once or thinking about all the stuff that you have to do. But if you can invest a little bit each day, man, it adds up quickly. It really, really does. And then thinking long term too, being able to take feedback. That is one thing that I'm very, very gonna hone in on with this new HIIT Plus program, is I really want it to be, tailored towards what you want, what everyone wants to see from it. Not necessarily just what I want to do, but what's going to bring the most value to you guys. And so whatever you're building out, just because you think it's a good idea to do something a certain way, if your customers or your potential clients, if they want something else, should be able to feed into that. Because in the end, why are you making what you're doing? You want people to like it. And so taking that feedback is essential. And for me personally, I'm really, really looking forward to it. And that's kind of it. I think the last thing is, if you were building something, whatever it is, maybe you want to start a YouTube channel. Maybe you want to start a podcast. Maybe you want to build something big. If it doesn't work out, if this HIIT Plus thing doesn't work out, whatever it is that your dream might be, and it doesn't necessarily work out, I want you to be honest with yourself and ask yourself, is it the end of the world? Are you going to starve? Are you going to lose your house? What's going to really, really, really happen if something doesn't work out? When you think about it, it's like, it's all going to be okay. It's all going to be okay. You know why? Because you're going to figure it out. If something doesn't work, guess we'll try the next thing and we'll figure it out. And it's that process of trying to figure out what works and knowing that, like, if something doesn't work out, it's going to be all right. You're not going to die. You're not going to explode. You're not going to necessarily lose everything you own or whatever it might be, even though you might have invested a lot of money into something. You can always downscale your life a little bit if you need to, if things get financially tight. Like, it's all going to work out. And I think the more we can wrap our heads around, if things don't work perfectly, if it doesn't work out, that it's going to be okay, I think that really helps us take the leap, take the jump towards building out whatever it is that you want to build out. So I would like you to ask yourself, if you are not happy doing what you're doing right now, if you have other dreams and aspirations of something that you want to build out, something meaningful that has always been a passion of yours, I want you to ask yourself if you have the minuscule amount of time that it would take each day, 30 minutes to an hour each day, to just put in a little bit towards this dream, towards this passion, knowing that you're not going to get a lot from it up front, and there's going to be a lot of learning and a lot of investment. But there's something to be said about that journey. There's something to be said about, like, when it does start to come together and you're like, this is mine, this is my thing. I think that feeling of that is, like, unmatched by pretty much anything else. And that's all I got to say. The world won't end if your dreams don't work out. You can always figure it out down the line, because we got lots of life to live, lots of ups and downs to be had. And yeah, that's it. I'm super excited for HIIT Plus. I know it sounds like I'm just trying to market this out to you guys, but I would sincerely be so grateful if you gave it a try. When you sign up for it, you get a free trial for the first few days. It gives you full access to all the workouts that are on there. If you feel like your workout routine right now isn't perfect and you feel like you could do with some more flexibility and mobility training, or you want to do some more body weight calisthenic stuff at home, or you have a rowing machine, you want some guided rowing workouts, whatever it is that you might want. If you could, if you had some time to try out some of the workouts, give some critical feedback. I just want to make this freaking awesome, because it really is my one and ultimate dream that I've ever had. So that's it for the podcast today. Let me know what you guys think. Please rate the podcast if you haven't already too. Let me know what you guys want to see more of, who you'd want to hear from, what we should talk about to help push ourselves towards better, happier versions of ourselves. Thank you so much for listening. Keep up with the process, trust in the process, and do what makes you happy. And I'll see you guys in the next podcast.